Here we go. Another day. Well, my 2 weeks worth episode. And getting used to the new title means just new to me here. Just to follow up, we just came through Halloween and a lovely season. Giving candies to other kids, a sort of reminder of, like I said, I'm a senior citizen now, kind of thing. And it's like I've been through it all. I've been the guy that kicked. I was the kid that was picking up the candies as a kid, and then I was at one point in time the adult taking youngsters to get candies down, and the guy sitting there handing the candy out to the next generation of kids. That's just the way life goes sometimes. So I mean, having an interesting thing to say. Well, I figured what I'm gonna do first of all. I'm gonna go. I got a couple of things I've been writing down, and a bunch of ideas. My printer's going off there again. A couple of ideas I want to probably discuss in more detail, maybe over the next couple of weeks, months. So a couple of ideas I was thinking about. My sort of thoughts about things like concepts like the fact that freedom of speech has become a really big, huge subject in this country, but the right to have freedom of speech, and that I think the concept of like Ron's speech is political, is racist, sexist, homophobic. I mean, this goes on and on and on. I kind of feel that the world's kind of went into this sort of, a lot of people talk about Orwell 94 and the parallels to that, and the fact that a lot of that happening out is kind of a group thing. And this is an idea that I'm really, really against in the society, the fact that we're suspending the right to have independent thought anymore, to have independent ideas, and that is a discussion that I hope that we have more of in this channel. I hope that's inviting some dialogues and people talking about it, not just me talking about it, but people actually giving their opinions on it. What do they think? Why they think it's happening this way? What things can we do to get people more engaged in terms of being able to stop doing this type of thing and just use their brains and actually look at everything goes in the world, not just take things road just because somebody says so. The idea of opinions or feelings over opinions. Used to be things were actually based on knowledge, based on facts. Now it's feelings over reals. It's the thing they sort of call it. I mean, it's we're replacing feelings with real science and facts. I mean, things are not based on the idea of how things really are, but how it affects somebody's feelings, whether to give an offense or take an offense. Our last election, I basically had a name. I called it the Coke versus Pepsi election. The idea that the two main parties were way too much alike, that the Liberals, aka the Coke brand, because the red in the case of our liberal politics as opposed to the red brand of the Republicans in the States, and the blue branded Pepsi, or conservatives, progressive conservatives, whatever you want to call them, and the sort of race toward becoming so much more alike with policy in terms of how we deal with the pandemic, how we deal with energy policy, how we deal with all these things in Canada, education, the future of youth, racial issues about how we deal with the Indigenous problems in Canada, how in this case we've not dealt with them properly. The idea that some people are calling for reparations or some sort of. I just call for some sort of equality in terms of opportunity. I mean, Native people in this country, if they're going to be part of the Canadian system, if they want to be considered Canadians, if they consider themselves already Canadians, but feel like they've been treated as like second-class citizens in a country that they're part of and always been part of from the very beginning, and want to be part of and want to actively participate in, and they want to be in the modern world, and that we should give them the same opportunities to be able to do that, to express their aspirations as people, their aspirations of the society, the what direction they want to go into, how they want to progress and build their culture and their identity and who they are and their distinctness in Canada within the confines of being able to sustain themselves and have a life and not be able to have to live with dignity, and then of course the cultural and idea of revolution that's been going on between the sort of generational changes, which always happens when a new generation comes in, where there's always this talk of any time that it's an opportunity for certain groups to get in there and to push a certain ideology on the younger generation, who are more young and impressionable, but that have not a lot of life experience. They don't understand what the implications of this, the idea that in life there is no real such thing as a free lunch, but at the same time we should be compassionate and caring for the previous generation, the ones that built the foundation that we live on, and that give them some sort of dignity, so that we can allow them to enjoy reclining years of their life instead of having to do things like seeing all young, older people working in professions like working at restaurants and stuff like that, which is, I think, a very, very big issue that we need to address. It's the lack of dignity we have for the ever increasing number of seniors that have come about through medical advances and, of course, all these other things in the baby boom side, and the fact that the young generation, who would be the ones that should have taken the granddad or taking over these positions and jobs and getting themselves integrated in the economy, have the opportunity so, and they're not able to because we're still making the older people do things that they shouldn't have to do at this point in time, thereby cutting off opportunities for the new young people to come in and become the next generation of people, and eventually the seniors themselves once their own children come along. The idea that getting back to the Koch versus Pepsi election, how the fact that we're seeing politics and political parties act more like a unified one-party state type of thing, where the minority government is a bunch of people that seem to be from different ideologies theoretically, but in actual fact they're all pretty much the same sort of gelled group. They sort of have the same ideologies, appearing more convergent to the one-party state, defeating the whole idea of democratic freedom in the first place. If parties don't have differences, then we don't have democracy. There's always going to be common ground, we hope. But at the end of the time, there's always different opinions, and there's always going to be one group having to compromise a little bit in some issues, but another group has to compromise on other issues for the common good of all the majority of society. And I call it when we have a party anyway, the left and right, and basically I have a slogan for basically how politics is right now. Same great brand, different flavors. In other words, the idea that the parties are not as much different as they are the same, and then just level the flavors, or I call variations, well, I call them flavors, but variations of the same theme, basically. And that politics has become more homogenized than ever, and the differences are becoming less and less distinctive, which is making it very hard for people, especially with this which is why established parties are having getting a little bit of fight by the new parties that are coming, like the Maverick Party, the new party of Maxime Bernier Party, the People's Party, and why these parties exist in the first place and what manifests their creation and that, and obviously the marginalization by the establishment, because the establishment doesn't like the idea of it starting fight, but the fact is it established itself at one point in time, like the case of the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party at one time was threatened by the Reform Party, which became the Canadian Alliance Party, when she eventually realized that they had to come together, because what they were doing was by splitting the ideological right the way they were allowing the ideological left, who was more organized at that time, the Liberals, to take over power and run the system. And then basically they were giving them a free pass by the fact that they couldn't coalesce into one sort of ideological front, because the way the political system is written now, it's not an issue by issue, it's a party by party thing. And you have to be on the right side of the right party. And of course, when the NDP being sort of the wild card element with the Bloc Québécois, which is very much a regional party, the fact that these issues are becoming more pronounced now, and that the fact is it's making politics not work effectively, hence leading to a lot of people having a disillusion with politics altogether. And the idea that no party seems to want to truly reform the system. They all talk about it, but the fact is once they get into power, they realize that they don't want to jeopardize the power. So therefore, they're going to, even though it may look more favorable in the eyes of all the people saying that these are the people that have finally done the thing, but usually what they'll do is they'll say, we studied it, we looked at it, we did, and in the end we couldn't do it, and just throwing their heads in the air, well, sorry, we've done our best. And the fact is, the fact that society accepting them that they're best is kind of a joke. And the fact is, they know it, but as long as people don't question it too much, they're not going to change. The idea that the culture now, especially with YouTube and the old guard celebrities, the established celebrities, as opposed to the new YouTube celebrities, and the clash between those two types of groups in terms of the establishment politicians and the establishment media. It's like you got establishment on one side, and then you got the new guard, the new version of stars, new version of politics, new version of everything that's competing against new versions of TV, competing against the old ones, and the fight for the fact they're trying to protect their turf and all that. And then the idea that we're supposed to follow these people without question because they say they're the mouthpieces for the upper elites in society, because people listen to them and respect them and follow them, and the idea that we just listen to these people, and if anyone goes against them, even if the celebrities themselves go against the stick narrative that the celebrities themselves have built up in terms of what they apparently internally agreed upon, all of a sudden there's all this dial planning on, try them go on to get them on side again. Uh, Trying to read my notes here. This just that whole general theme. So I mean, there's lots of stuff to do. There's lots of stuff to unpack. There's lots of topic here. I'll certainly will probably address them more detail over time, and maybe you can provide me some feedback of what things you might want to discuss besides those. And I always say there's going to be certain topics we're going to have to do off of YouTube. I always think because YouTube is very sensitive to these topics, and we can't really talk too much detail or express too many opinions that may be off the rails of what they consider to be proper topics. These might be topics we may have to talk about on Ramble or other programs, Super U, and as we expand our reach, and hopefully some of the viewers that want to get more depth with some of these particular ideas and discussions about my opinions about things, certainly can eventually follow me there, subscribe to my channel, hopefully, once I get some sort of donation thing going or some sort of merchandise to sell, maybe purchase our merchandise and help to build this brand and create an audience and expand the audience for the ideas I have, and hopefully it's not just my ideas, but there's other people out there that have similar ideas. Anyway, so this is going to be a short broadcast for today. Like I said, it's hockey night tonight, and my lovely fiance is sitting there waiting for me to close up shop here, and I certainly want to oblige her. And of course, I got my computer plopping up all these pop-ups, which is a pain in the ass, which means you can't see my recording thing. So, as I say, it's like, this is a short broadcast, and say more. Hopefully Thursday we'll go into more depth. Maybe start off with discussing some of these topics. Pick one of the topics, and we'll go into a little bit of detail about it, and then sort of more elaborate what I think about it, and or maybe gloss for a couple topics more line. Anyway, this is Mike, and this is my Loonies 2 Loonies worth, and I hope to eventually get some discussion from you guys out there, and talk to you soon. Take care. Have a good day.